There's one area that you've really somehow propagated and have brought into light, that is commercial awareness. And you've talked
Mhm.
about commercial awareness on multiple instances, how it helps the legal professionals as well as the aspirants, and how it helps the law firms, and how it helps us steer this career path of ours. So I would love to know, what exactly do you mean by commercial awareness, and if like how do we understand what commercial awareness should be?
Yeah, it's a question that I get a lot, and I think it's a bit frustrating because students have a really hard time, conceptualizing it if not been exposed to the term before or defining it. And if you go on Google, you find like 10 different definitions, and
Right.
everyone says it's really important, but no one really knows what it is. And I think I've always kind of struggled to kind of put a concrete definition on it. But I think if I can describe it in a way which is probably most kind of simplistic, or at least in a way which most people will be able to refer to, it's context. If a client comes to you and says, look, I need X, I'm trying to achieve X, I'm trying to franchise a new business in another country, for example. So the initial kind of surface level approach for a lawyer will be, okay, well then there's clearly a number of legal obstacles that we need to consider here. We need to consider the potential commercial or corporate law here, we need to consider the employment law here, the IP law here, and there will be a variety of legal advice you would give on that basis. The law is XYZ, or allows you to do XYZ. But of course, that's not what clients pay lawyers for. And the more I've spoken to lawyers, I think the more that's really kind of been drilled into me. It's that the client isn't coming to you and saying, can you tell me what section 27 of this act says? Because that's legalese,
Right.
it's not English, and it doesn't help them solve their problem. And I think where commercial awareness comes in is being able to put everything into context. So the client comes to you and obviously says, I need to franchise that, but they say, look, I've got this kind of budget, or I need to account for this kind of time frame, or I'm doing it in this country and I'm not used to this market before, or I'm doing it in liaison with this other industry or this other country. And it's your job as the lawyer to go, okay, well, I know that you've technically got these legal options available to you, but I'm now going to walk you through the process of which one is commercially, or in other words, based on your context and your specific needs, the ones which are most viable, or perhaps the most risk averse, or something like that. And
Mhm.
you draw that context based on not just your own experience, but your understanding of this kind of global kind of context to the news, or kind of commercial developments, or developments within your own industry, and especially your own understanding of the firm itself as a business. So based on what a client is saying to you, you might say, well, look, I can provide you this kind of fixed price solution, or I know that based on our own internal workings, this is the kind of package we're going to put together for you, or this is how I, as a trainee, am going to add value to a role, and this is how the partner will do his job. I think it's about kind of balancing those two things: the understanding, the external understanding of what's going on around you and how it will relate to the problem, but also your own internal understanding of how the firm is running as a business, and how it will be looking to innovate and kind of develop new solutions, and ultimately provide them in a way which is accessible to clients.